Welcome to the Filmmakers 412 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ray. Today's guest is Christina Chickis. She's appeared in over 20 films, including Done Waiting and Halloween Panhandle Massacre. Some of the things we talk about in today's episode are her secrets for memorizing lines, how as a woman she deals with awkward scenes, and the lack of sexism in the local film community. Here's our interview with Christina Chickis. Christina, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sure. We'll make it easy on you. So what's your day job, Christina?
Well, I own a cleaning business. I have currently 40 houses that I do all myself, so it keeps me very busy. I also have a new job that I started. I'm an independent travel agent. Ooh. So, yes, I specialize in Disney, Universal Studios, Sandals Resorts, and tours.
That's interesting. Yeah. Just in time for this shutdown we have.
Exactly.
So how did you get interested in filmmaking and acting?
Well, I would say right after high school, I had an interest in modeling. And I lived in West Virginia at the time. There was not a lot of, there wasn't the internet to, find all these jobs and everything. So it was... I tried to get into it, but it was hard. So I kind of just steered away from it. And then I moved up to Pittsburgh. And I cannot remember how I really got started with everything. But the first thing I can remember, I went to, I believe it was Donna Bellajack. I had given her pictures that I had taken and got a commercial for Wheeling Downs. And so I did that. And I started to do a few other things, like I did a Lee Jeans commercial. I did a corporate college commercial up in Cleveland. I did a short film up in Cleveland. I did another short film here. And I keep trying to think back and remember how I found those because, Facebook wasn't back then. So it was very hard to find things.
Was that through Doherty?
No, it was, I wasn't with any agencies. I was just on my own. So that's why I cannot remember how I found those things.
Well, that's a sign of senility. So would you like to be a professional actress?
Oh, definitely. I love it. I mean, I definitely have a passion for it. Back when I was doing it, it was probably about 15, 20 years ago when I started doing it. And back then, most things I had to go to Cleveland to do. And it was just, I had young kids at home, and it was too hard, too much traveling. So I gave it up. And then they filmed, was it Jack Reacher, Batman, and then Concussion came. And I love Will Smith. And so I decided I was going to try to get back into it. So I went to the casting call for that, and I was in it. And I decided at that point I needed an agent. So I signed on with TB Talent and Casting, and everything just went from there. I started doing commercials, started doing films, and yeah, I mean, it's been great. I love it.
Cool. Now, you'd like to do this professionally. Do you have a plan in place for getting to that professionally, or are you pretty much good with all your side businesses and everything?
So this is my goal right now. I realize that you can't jump into something right away. It's something that takes time. I like to do things right. I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfectionist. So my goal right now is to try different characters. I want to see what I'm good at. I want to, just try some different roles and put together a demo reel, which I'm very close to. I've done a lot of things over the past year. I'm waiting for things to come out to be finished editing and everything. But I want to put together a demo reel, and then I will start submitting for bigger roles, like in bigger films, speaking roles, stuff like that.
Do you do stage acting too?
I do not.
Why is that?
I don't know. I know that theater is very different from being on television, and it's more dramatic, and I don't know. It's just not my thing. I just have no desire to, maybe if I tried it once, I would love it, but it's just not something that I've tried to pursue. I like doing the TV stuff.
See, I could never memorize that many lines. I just couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, I think I have a good way of memorizing things, which has really helped me a lot because I just did a movie not long ago where I had 65 to 70 lines, and I had it all memorized. It's just, it's everybody's different how they memorize things, and for me, it's, I memorize a line. And then once I have that memorized, I'll go to the next line and I'll memorize that. Then I go back and say them together. Then I add a line on and then I say it all together. And it just helps me tremendously with.
Wow, that's good advice for a up and coming actress.
Yeah, because I think when you look at a page that has a ton of lines on it, it can be overwhelming. And you're thinking, how can I memorize all this? But like I said, if you just take one line at a time and memorize it, but you keep going back to the ones before and you keep saying them, it will come more naturally.
That's a good tip. I like that.
Thank you.
So if you could look into the future and see that you had never made it as an actress, would you be okay with that?
I would be disappointed, I guess. I mean, I understand it's a tough world out there. There's a lot of people wanting to do the same thing. It is a dream of mine, and I just feel like, I'm a Christian and I believe everything happens for a reason. And if I'm meant to do it, then it's for me. And if not, God had a different plan for me. That's all.
Wow. Okay, good. Do you have a dream project? Like if what would be your dream project? I mean, Will Smith would probably be the co-star, right?
Actually, I want to be in a Hallmark movie.
That's a pretty low bar, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Once you get into one, though, you're in like 30 of them, aren't you?
Yeah, that would be great. I wouldn't mind that at all. I just, I love a good love story, and you're not watching all the violence, and not that I love doing action, movies and stuff, but I love Hallmark movies. They have a place in my heart, and I would just love to be in one someday.
My wife kind of jokes. She said, "It's not over yet. They didn't kiss." That's how you know if it's over.
Exactly. Yep.
So how many projects have you worked on? How many films have you been in?
I would say it's been at least 25. I would say probably between 25 and 30. And I actually have a web series that I'm getting ready to do a second show for. And I have 3 short films and a feature film that I'm going to be in the next couple months. So keeping busy. And I honestly thought over the winter that things would slow way down, but they haven't stopped at all, which is good.
One of the things when I got into this, I've only been into this for like a year and a half, but the long hours, is that a killer for you?
It can be exhausting. But you know what? It's something that I love to do, so I don't mind. When I'm doing my cleaning job for 12 hours, I'm exhausted, and, it can be miserable and tiresome, but when you put in a long day acting and you've got something good to show for it, then it makes it a little better.
It's not as physical as it's cleaning either.
Yes.
Okay, what are some of your more memorable projects? Have you won any awards?
I haven't won any awards yet. Hopefully I will. But like I said, most of the things that I've done have been over this past year. So I'm still waiting for a lot to be edited and put out there. There is one, Done Waiting, that is in a film festival right now, and we did get some great feedback from them, so I'm excited about that. Looking forward to seeing what else will come from that. But yeah, there's a few coming up here that I'm excited to see how they do in film festivals.
I hear the sound's really good for that movie.
Yes, it is.
I'm just kidding. I worked on that one too. That was a fun project.
Yes, it was.
Okay. How do you feel about those awkward scenes, like those like kissing scenes or something that's kind of intimate? Like that's one of the things, like, I don't know if I could be married to an actress that would go through that with some good-looking guy. I mean, that's just a little weird to me. But I mean, it's really important that you sell it and everything.
Right.
But I just think it's awkward.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I've only ever been in that situation once. And he happens to be married in real life, so I felt kind of weird about that because I would never want to like have somebody's spouse upset with me. I'm sure they understand at this point it is all a part of acting. And this person that I did have to kiss, I've been with him in several films, so I feel very comfortable with him. He's been like a mentor to me. And but yeah, if it were a stranger, I'm not sure how I'd react. I think I'd probably be a little bit more nervous about it or uneasy.
Yeah, that first kiss is always weird anyways, like in real life, because, it's been a while since I had a first kiss, but as I remember back, it was like, okay, like, do your nose go this way? All that. It's just weird to me. I was wondering how you handled that.
Yeah.
Have you ever like had to do any topless scenes or anything like that?
No.
Do you have lines that you draw?
Yes. Okay. I honestly, yes, I do. I will not, I'm not taking my clothes off for any films. It's just not me. Anything that's of sexual content, I draw a line at a certain point. It's not me. It's not what I want to do. There's so many other, roles or whatever that I can be doing. And, I had a situation where I was supposed to play it was with the mafia. I was supposed to play the wife, and I was supposed to be seducing men. And the guy that was going to do it asked me what was I willing to do. And I said, I'm not willing to take my clothes off, and I'm not willing to pretend like I'm having sex. But I said, there's a lot you can do with it without having to do that kind of stuff. So.
Right. You and I were at a screening not that long ago. It was like a private screening at someone's house. And one of the movies was this guy we both know really well. And he was in a scene where they were both topless. Well, he was laying on her in bed and they were both covered up, but they had to like get there somehow.
Right.
And the weird thing to me is like his wife was in the couch beside us.
That would be very awkward.
That was just really, it made me cringe a little bit, but they were fine with it. It's like, that's what they do, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. If I were with somebody, like if I had a spouse or a boyfriend or whatever that was in the acting field and they had to do that kind of scene, I think it would make me very uncomfortable. And, that's another thing, if I were married or dating, it would be difficult for me too. Like I wouldn't want them to feel uncomfortable about what I was doing.
I just wondered. You're like my first actress that I've interviewed, so I had to bring all that stuff up. Okay, what, in your opinion, makes one actor better than another?
I would say immersing yourself in that role. There's a difference between playing a part and really feeling the part. I myself, I like to have a script memorized before I rehearse because I feel like, if I'm reading off a script, I'm paying more attention to what the lines are than I am acting it out. And I really think that it's important that you know your lines and that you can be more in the character. So I think it's just, you just gotta, for me, I picture myself in that situation. How would I act? What would I do? And, I just feel like that's what you have to do. You have to know that part to be able to play it well.
Okay, that's something interesting because you were saying that you wondered how you would handle that part. But as an actress, shouldn't you be like that other person, wondering how you handle that? You know what I'm saying? Are you always acting as you? Or are you like, okay, so in the movie you're supposed to be this frustrated, whatever, blah, 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 someone that doesn't chase young men.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself in someone else's role, so you have to ask what it's like for that person.
Right.
But when you're just screening it, do you just use you as a reference? Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. I think it's really, really important to know everything that you can about that character. When you're a character can be, when you're just reading a script, that character could be anything, I mean, you could take it in several different ways. So I like to ask, tell me about this character. What are they like? What is this character all about? So that you can have a better idea of what you need to do to portray this character.
Okay. When you see young actresses making mistakes, you can tell her, like, what are some of the things that they do that almost give them away as being young and inexperienced?
Oh, I think probably one of the biggest things maybe is being nervous, not knowing their lines well enough. And sometimes, I've noticed that people who do theater and do the acting, the TV stuff, they tend to be over dramatic, and you kind of you pick up on that. So, yeah, I think it's I've seen some really, really good young people that you'd never sometimes, I don't know. I just think everybody, you either have a knack for it or you don't. I mean, sometimes it just takes some practice, but yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things is just them being nervous.
Yeah, I think it's like that in pretty much every art or profession. It's like you have a certain amount of God-given talent, and you can either, like, you can make that a lot better, and that'll take a while, but there's still talent that shows up right from the beginning if you have it. But if you don't have a ton of it, then you can develop a lot more of it, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some of your strengths as an actress?
Being able to memorize. Crying.
Oh, you're a good crier.
Oh, yeah, I can cry at the drop of a hat.
Do you practice a
no,
lot?
I don't even have to practice. Again, I just, picture
God-given
myself.
talent.
Yeah, I mean, I just did a scene for a film where I had to identify my daughter at a morgue and break down and cry. And I told him, I said, the director, I said, "Are you ready?" And I did it, and I'm sobbing, I'm crying. He goes, "Man, do you use that on your boyfriends?"
What was the answer?
No.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I just picture myself in the moment, and I can cry. And I know some people say that's difficult for them to do.
Yeah. I have you ever seen guys able to cry easily?
For acting?
Like I've seen them, they put this stuff on their eyes that
Yeah.
makes them like all teary-eyed and
Yeah.
stuff. But I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a hormonal, thing for women. It's just easier for us.
What do you think of to make you cry?
Again, I mean, it just the situation, like for that particular scene, I thought, what if that were my daughter? How I would be so upset. I would be, it would just overtake me. I couldn't live without my daughter. So yeah, it's just me like picturing that moment and what is happening.
Okay. So what are your weaknesses as an actress, and what do you do? What are you doing to improve them?
My weaknesses.
None.
I mean, there's always things that I see, like if I go back and watch something I did, they may have been okay with, the director might have been okay with how I did something, but then I think to myself, I could have done that better. I could have, just played that part out better. I could have done it in a different way. I mean, I'm always critiquing myself, so.
I think you have to critique yourself all the time. If you don't get better.
Yeah.
Do you ever get in the director says cut, and do you ever say, "Oh, can I do that again?"
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes that, like, you just get an inspiration that you just thought of. It's like, let me use that thought or whatever.
Yeah. 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 Sometimes, I mean, I've done something, I thought, I don't like how I did that. I know I could do it better. So then I'm like, yeah, can we do that again? Yeah.
When you find a flaw, or when you recognize that you didn't do quite as well as you'd like to have when you review the film, like, is there something that you just keep that in mind for the next time? Or, okay, but there's no trend problem you have with anything you can notice?
I don't feel like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I by no means am I trying to brag about anything, but I I've always been able to pick up things easy, like whether it was, golfing or I played darts for a while, or, I even did some hunting, and like I shot a bow and arrow. Like I just, practice makes perfect, obviously. And I've always been the type that, if I like something, I will continue to practice. And the same things with acting. I just, like I said, I'm very critical of myself. Like I critique myself all the time, but I feel like I'm just one of those, like, I feel like I catch on easily with things, but I work hard at it because I put my all in it. Like I don't just, I'm like, whatever, I'll just try and see what happens. I want to put my all and my best into it.
Yeah, I'm sort of like that too. It's like usually things come naturally to me, but I become immersed in something, like the sound thing. It's like that's what I'm thinking of before I go to bed. Is like, like I'll jump on YouTube or whatever and I'll study it, and like right now it's podcasting.
Well, I'm actually taking a little. I'm going to try something a little different, helping somebody produce a short film that I'm going to be in, and so that's something new to me.
Have you ever played any other roles besides actress, like in filmmaking?
No, I mean, I'm the type of person that, I've had directors ask me, do you know somebody who would be good for this part or that part? And like, I'm all about helping in any way I can. I mean, I helped, with a little bit of camera stuff, which I had no idea what I was doing, but I, did whatever he told me to do. Like, I'm willing to jump in there and help any way I can. Now, I don't know about like the sound, how everything works, but anything I can do to help, I'm very happy to help.
Now, do you have an interest in that though? Like if someone called you up and said, "Hey, we need help with doing sound. Can you do sound on this project?" What would you say?
I would say I don't feel experienced enough to be able to do the job that you need, and I wouldn't want to mess that up for anybody. So I like the acting. I like being in front of the camera. I'd rather be there than behind the camera, but like I said, if it somebody needs help with something, I'm willing to jump in. I just want them to know that, hey, I may not be experienced in the sound or whatever. So I wouldn't want to be solely the person in charge of doing that, but I don't mind helping people.
Well, I'm pretty good at like self-reflection. I think to myself, like, why all the time? And I found the reason that I really like to do sound, I'm probably better at lighting than I am sound, just because I've done lighting forever. But what's really cool about the sound, when you do lighting, okay, you do it and it's like, it's gratifying, but when the action starts, you walk away and like you're not there. You're like probably working on the next shot or whatever. Whereas sound, I'm right there like 5 feet from you.
Yeah.
And so I can just see you, like when you turn on the tear ducts kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get to see it, and it's really moving sometimes. And I really enjoy that about sound. That's why I like sound. That's why that's the conclusion I came to.
Yeah.
So where do you go to learn about acting? Like now, like if you want to say, I want to get better, like what would you do to get better?
I mean, there's workshops and stuff out there.
Have you taken any?
I actually have an agency out in Ohio too that I'm with, and I took an improv class and I loved it.
Really?
It was so much fun. I would love to do that again. I've taken workshops through my agent. I've never done the several, times, a week, like 8-week course or whatever, where you do it like once a week or whatever. I've never done any of those just because it's hard for me with my cleaning business. I never know what time I'm going to get done, so it's very difficult for me to make time to do stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those self-taught things, and watching other people, watching other good actors and see what they're doing, watching movies on TV and see what they're doing, stuff like that for me.
Doesn't that almost ruin the movies sometimes? Because you're like, oh, wow, I like how he delivered that line or something. Whereas you're out of the movie then because you're analyzing it.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think the best way is to break into acting? Like if there was a new actress coming on and they ask your opinion, what would you say?
I would definitely say I always recommend it to the new people that I work with, join the groups on Facebook. There's so many, great groups that post a lot of casting calls and stuff like that, even like actors tips and training and all that kind of stuff. And get an agent if you can. I mean, it can certainly help you to land jobs, but yeah, like just go on, read up as much as you can. There's different sites that you can go on for casting notices and stuff like Backstage and all those different ones. But yeah, definitely going on Facebook, because that's like where everything's at right now, social media.
There used to be user groups or whatever. Now they're pretty much gone.
Yeah.
How much of the work you do is pro bono, like no charge, no pay?
I would say probably most of it for right now. And like I said, again, I don't mind doing them because, first of all, I get to work with different people. Like I've met a lot of great people over the last year, directors and, the people that they work with and everything, other actors and stuff. So I don't mind right now doing a lot of that just because I'm still learning. I'm still, I want all the practice I can get. I want to learn, play different roles. I want to see what I really like, whether it's doing a lot of love stories or whether it's a comedic role or, thrillers or whatever. So I don't mind it right now, but I'm sure there'll come to a point when I'm going to value my time more and say, hey, I'd like to get paid for this.
Well, that's blown me away about when I started doing this like a year and a half ago. It's like, I'm looking around, there's like 10 people on set, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all here for free. And they're going to spend 12 hours here on a Saturday doing this for free. And it's like, I don't know why they do it, but I do it too.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But I've talked to a lot of actors so far, and I ask them that question, same question I ask you, and most of them say they just consider it an investment.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like you're doing it to get better, and you're doing it to meet people, and it's almost, you're building a reel that you're going to get from it.
Yep.
So all that, you couldn't do it without that.
Right.
And there's, like I've been on groups too, and there's this one sound guy that he says you should never work for free. Mm-hmm. It's like, and I understand that whole idea, but like how do you get experience if you don't do it for free?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's well worth it. It's like, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worth doing, some, just to get your foot in the door.
Okay, this is something I've been asking a couple people, and it's driving me crazy. Let's pretend there's a scene. You have to deliver 10 lines in this scene. So let's say somewhere during this, you just want to make it look natural. You're at a bar, okay? Mm-hmm. So you just reach over and you grab a drink, and you just take a sip of it and you put it down. Now, as an actress, do you remember when you did that? Like, do you keep track of that? Because when you shoot something, you have to shoot it wide and then tight and tight. Mm-hmm. And do you really keep that tight of?
I try, yeah. I really do try to. I try to make a point to remember. And I actually got a compliment on a film about that. They said, wow, you guys did the same thing every time, and that was great. So yeah, it's very important to do that. And it's important to remember when you do something, like if you are going to pick up a drink or whatever, you need to remember that point. Like, what word are you saying? Are you pausing between lines and doing it? So yeah, it is important.
Yeah, I almost think it would be a good idea for actors to get involved with the editing part of things. I think there's a lot to be learned there.
Yeah.
I just think if you saw that over and over for a while, that you would know that, like on close-ups, that's when it's really important. It's like, there's certain things that are accentuated in the close-ups versus the wides and stuff like that. I just think it would be a good idea.
Honestly, it might actually be a good point for, actors to kind of dabble in a little, like seeing a little bit of everything, how everything's done, to learn to appreciate it more. Like you said, with the editing, so they understand, hey, you need to be doing this consistently so that I can put this together. Or, with sound, you need to make sure you're delivering your lines clear and, saying the words correctly. And, lighting, you need to make sure that you're, if they want you to stand in a certain place because of the lighting reflecting a certain way, then, it's probably a good idea to just learn all that.
And I think a lot of actors eventually get into directing. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's a good idea for directors to take acting classes?
You know what? That's a good question. I think it might not, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Just, because they get a feel for the other side, what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah, I think that would be something
helpful,
good.
huh?
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the local filmmaking community?
You mean as far as everybody in general?
Yeah, in general, are you pretty happy with the way everybody's been working and treating you, and are you happy with the results?
Absolutely. I feel like we are all like a big family here. I mean, I don't know. I'm just the type of person where I like to get along with everybody. And to me, it feels like everybody wants to see each other succeed. I'm sure there's a few out there that, have their difference of opinion with each other and stuff. But for the most part, I think, it's a great community here as far as filmmaking goes. You get a great group of people together and we all have fun, doing a show or doing a film or whatever together. And it's great, whether it's, the actors or the directors. I've met a lot of really great directors and, the crew. And when I go to work on another film, I like to recommend, the crew that worked on something else with me, because it's, we're all here for each other.
I'm sort of an introvert and I don't have a lot of friends, but like my friend base has grown immensely since I've started this film thing. It's like I show up on set and I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy, and I feel really good about that. I really enjoy it.
I feel the same way. I would have to say that most of my friend base now is actor friends. I've always been, that way too, where I just never had a lot of female. I was friends with females, but like never like really, really hung out, because there's too much gossip and, just stuff that I don't like to do. Like, I just don't,
That's very sexist.
Well, I feel like with our film community, everybody's just so great and nice and fun to hang out with. And I love everybody.
You know what? I agree with you. And I'm sensitive to that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, just recently, we have all this time off now because of the plague. Yeah. And there was something at CCAC South, and it was they called it Beyond the Frame, and it was all about, they had a all-female panel, and the female was the moderator of the panel. Mm-hmm. And I understood, because it's like Women's something month or something, right? And the moderator, and I don't blame her for this, it was kind of like I assumed it was going to happen. Everything was from a woman's perspective. The people on the panel were, of course, all women. They were like seamstress and props people, and there was one gaffer. And the moderator, she kept on asking questions in reference to being a woman, okay? And one of the questions she was looking for, and she was fishing for sexism, that's what I took away from it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe, it's like, I'm probably going to get shot for this, but that was just my opinion. And what was really odd, have you ever had a man hold you back from what you were doing? And like this one lady, she was like, come to think about it, no, but I've had several women hold me back. And then later, one of the other women, it might have been the same one, she made him say, I'm glad men are around, because like at the end of the day, we need somebody to carry all this shit out to the car. Which is like a totally 180 sexist kind of.
It's funny because, obviously with guys, there's like no competition in the film business, because guys are there to do one thing, girls are there to do the other. And
for acting, yes.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of competition between women out there, but I just hope that, at least for me, I'm happy for, if I submitted for something that a good friend of mine submitted for and she got it and I didn't, I'm happy for her. She was meant to get it, not me. And I'm not going to, be jealous or be like talking behind her back saying, oh, she got that and I didn't, whatever. I might think to myself, what could I have done better to have gotten that part? But sometimes it's not a matter of how you act. Sometimes it's just they're looking for a particular look. And if you don't have it, then you don't have it.
I'm putting you on the record here. So have you experienced any sexism in acting or the film industry here in Pittsburgh?
Not that I can think of.
Nobody swatted your butt or anything? You probably decked them, right?
No, nobody's touched me. I mean, I've gotten hit on, yes, plenty, but no, nobody's ever done anything inappropriate that I would not want to work around them again. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good job, Pittsburgh filmmakers. So what are the biggest mistakes you see filmmakers make? You're probably not that experienced but you've been around enough film sets where they're they're setting up for this and you think, oh man, the lighting would be better over here. You ever see anything like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was just an incident on a film I did where the poles weren't set up in the right place. Sometimes
the poles?
Or for the lighting.
Okay.
Sometimes, if you're doing a scene and that particular film, he wanted a lot of movement.
Oh, so it was in your way.
Yeah, so it can tend to be, I had to watch that I didn't trip over something or, so that kind of made it a little difficult. And I like to make recommendations, but I don't want to overstep my boundaries because I know they're the ones, it's their film, they're putting it together. They know what they're doing. So I try not to say too much, but, sometimes they don't like it if you say something.
Well, it's all the individual. Some people like input. Some people are dictatorial, and it's like, no, this is my vision. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's understandable, too.
Yeah.
And I really like the other kind that you can say, let's try this.
Yeah.
And if they're accepting of that, usually 9 times out of 10, it works. Mm-hmm. Because I think what happens, especially for me, and it's I have to be careful even talking about this because it's probably going to turn some directors off from hiring me possibly. But when you're a director, you have so many things in your head going on.
Yeah.
It's you have to worry about what the lighting's doing, what this is doing,
right.
Especially when you wear lots of hats. If you're a director in a big film, it's probably better because you have all these other people to delegate responsibilities to. But on these short films and no budget films, it's you're responsible for lunch and everything else, So I like to have a little bit of input, and I like to work with people that are accepting of that input. And if I can sense that they're not accepting, I'm fine with that. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Or I don't mind having input rejected. Just say, hey, I'm just brainstorming here, but what about this?
Sure.
That's the way I like to work. But so I don't even think I'd like to make it big, because I like this. Wearing some of the hats, whereas if you make it big, they don't want to hear what's a sound guy? He's supposed to be doing a sound.
Yeah. Even if I don't make it big, I love working with people here. I think that, the people that have directed stuff I've been in have been really great to work with. I'm almost kind of nervous to if I did make it big, seeing that difference, because I'm sure they're more strict and stern, and I think that would make me nervous. But I guess it's all part of getting used to. But yeah, everybody here is super nice and easy to work with, so that makes it makes it easier.
It makes it fun too.
Yes,
it makes it fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is there anything directors could do better when working with actors? Do you notice okay, if I just had one more take, or if you ask, for example, if they would ask you if you needed another take, would that be, or is there anything like that? I just talked this to death, probably is bad.
I like when directors give feedback, they're the ones behind the camera, so they're seeing what's there. I've had, a director, if he likes the take, then he's just done and he moves on. One thing I really, really appreciated and liked, and I know most of them probably do not do this, is they did a scene and they let us watch it back. So that really is helpful for me, because if I look at that and I'm like, I could have done that better for you. I could have done something different. Can we try it again? But if I hadn't seen it, I would have no idea. So I really appreciated that I got to see, some of the stuff that I have done.
That slows things down a lot, but it is nice. I
Yeah.
agree with you. That way you know if you have it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's one of those where he did one take or two, and you're not spending a lot of time on it, then if you can play it back just to see how it looked, then that's great. I mean, if you're behind and you're doing a lot of stuff, then no, it's not, and you don't have to do like every scene. But it's just nice to know if you were like, I'm not sure if I did a good job on that. Can I see it,
That's one of the things I wonder about, the difference between short films and big films, like big budget films. Do they leave more time for takes? If it takes 10 takes, does it take, we don't have time for 10 takes. We try to cram so much in a day.
Right.
And with a big budget, you would think that they're spending more money because they're paying all these people, and there's,
Right.
it's like renting this and that. You would think that there'd be less time, but I would bet there's more time. Would you guess?
I would think so.
Because you have to do that to like assure that you're going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Do you find that directors are accepting of input?
I think most of them have been. I mean, again, I am still newer. I mean, I've been doing this for the past at least I think it's been 5 years now. And I have been doing a lot more over this past year. And I've worked with some directors multiple times. And I feel like the more you get to know them, the more comfortable you might be with sharing things, sharing ideas or whatever. But I feel like when you don't want to come off the wrong way when you're working with somebody for the first time. You don't want them to be like, oh, she's trying to, tell me how to do my film. I think that could be a real turnoff to a director. But I feel like if you've worked with them, a couple times on something, they might be more comfortable with you and might listen a little easier.
Okay. Without naming names, are there people that you won't work with again?
Yes. Just one.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh, he knows who he is, I bet.
I'm sure he probably does.
You can name names if you want on this one, but who are some of your favorite filmmakers to work with?
Now, are you meaning actors and directors?
Everybody.
Okay. Well, I can honestly say that Jesse Hutchins and Brian Saponis are probably one of my favorites. I mean, and Brian, like I said, I've worked with him on probably at least 8 or 9 films. He's been like a mentor, ever since I started.
That's who I
doing
thought you were
stuff with
talking
him.
about.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've learned a lot through him. I really have, and I like to watch his acting. And like I said, I've done a lot with him, so I feel very comfortable working with him. No, like I said, he's been probably my favorite person to work with. Like I said, we've worked on so many different things together that I'm really comfortable working with him. But there have been people where I've only worked maybe once or twice with them, and I love them. They're great to work with. Delaney is a really great girl to work with too. She's a sweetheart. Brian, I can never remember how to pronounce K. Yeah, Brian K. He's a really good guy to work with. I love working with you.
Ooh, good answer. I was really fishing for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just Rick Dutro. There's just so many, great actors out there and actresses in this field. And Stephanie, Rick's wife, I'm really excited to do something with her. I know she's funny and she's a great actress, and we really haven't worked together on a film, but I'm really excited to do something with her. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of good actors and actresses, and really nice people.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this is I feel like I'm in this little bubble of I'm working with the same people, which I'm really enjoying, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I know there's people out there I haven't met yet.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to meet them through this. And and another reason I'm doing this is I'm hoping that they will see this and see you and hear you and, sort of appreciate your enthusiasm and want to give you a shot. So that's I'm trying to bring the community together like that. So I don't know why else it's like taking up a lot of my time. What makes you accept or reject a particular part?
Obviously what do I have to do for the part? Like I said, there's certain limits that I would not do. And I've only ever really encountered that, I think, once. So it really hasn't been bad. There really hasn't been a whole lot that I've turned down. Because like I said, right now, I want to try everything I can. Like I've done several different things. I've played mom a lot. I've played like a heroic mom, scared mom. I've played, being kidnapped. I've played in a love story. So it's really cool.
Almost Hallmark, huh?
Almost, yeah. I'm hoping after this one comes out, it's called Virtually Together. And we're actually going to be, it was supposed to be premiered at the Parkway Theater on the 28th, but we have to postpone it due to the whole virus thing. But I'm excited to see how that turned out. I did cry in that one. Ooh. And I actually made a bunch of people that were watching it while we were filming cry.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that should be really good.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
That's like the pinnacle of acting, I think, is not if you can cry, even though that's a good thing, but if you can make other people cry, that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
I think.
I actually did a scene in that where Brian played my husband, Brian Saponis. He played my husband, and I recommended him for the part because I'm comfortable with him and because we had a lot of lines to memorize. And you got to make sure the way that he actually filmed that film was he didn't want to do a whole lot of cuts. He wanted to do long, like 5-page long scenes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you could not mess up. And I knew that, when I recommended Brian, I knew that he would be able to do it. So that's why I recommended him. Rick played in it too, and he did an excellent job. But yeah, it was a difficult one. But there was a scene where I had to do with Brian, and I won't give away the scene yet because nobody's seen it yet. But actually, I haven't seen it yet. But the director got teary-eyed when he said, "Wow, that was a great performance." So that made me feel really good, knowing that I delivered it in the way it was supposed to be.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
What is don't get too specific if you don't want to, but what's your worst on-set experience?
As far as me acting, you mean?
No, just like a crappy day or like, I don't know, you broke your heel off or something. I don't know.
Oh, boy. Wow, let me think. I mean, there have been, I think one of the most probably disappointing things is when you do these bigger films and you're just an extra and you're working 12 hours on set and then you're not even in it. They cut your scene or whatever. That's a big disappointment. But I don't know. I mean, wow, I've done so many different things. I can't think of any right offhand that was like really bad, but I can think back to a few things when I first started doing stuff that I thought to myself, oh, I wish I would have done better with that. But it just takes, practice to get better. So,
well, that's one of the things that's why you keep doing it, is you get better.
Exactly.
If you didn't get better, then you'd be really disappointed in yourself then.
Yeah. And you should just give it up.
What's your favorite thing about being an actress?
Just being able to play a different character, being somebody other than myself. I've always wanted to do, and I ended up doing this where I played a villain. Like, I played a villain wife, like an evil. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But yeah, I like playing somebody that I'm not, something different. It's challenging.
Have you ever played like a real bitch? Because you seem real friendly to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, wouldn't that be fun to like just come up with snide remarks and like.
Yeah.
So you've done that?
Well, yeah. So there's a film I did, a short film called Rigor Mortis, and I had to play the villain wife, and I was pretty much a bitch in it, So it's fun. Like I said, again, it's something different, and I know it didn't end up being done, but it's supposed to be postponed maybe for another year. But I was supposed to play a loan shark in this short film, and I was supposed to be smoking and swearing and I'm not a big, I'm not a big swearer. I'm not one of those truck driver mouths kind of things, and I don't smoke. So when
Have you ever smoked at all?
No,
Okay.
I don't like it. But
so how did you do that?
Well, I was going to use fake cigarettes. Like I was going to buy prop cigarettes. But I was really excited to play that role because it was something I've never done before. And like when I told a couple people I was going to do that, they were like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you do that. That'll be interesting." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to it." And like I'm getting ready to do this comedic role for this web series, and I'm going to talk different and like just I'm going to work hard on like just being goofy and funny and just being, something different than I am now. And I hope that it comes out well. And
I think that would be the most challenging thing, to be funny if you're not really a funny person.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's
Because so much about it is about timing.
Yeah. And there are just some people that just have that knack. Like they just, they'll post stuff on Facebook and it's like, "Oh my gosh, you are too much. You're too funny. What makes you think like this?"
Right.
There are just people that have that knack. I mean, I'll say funny stuff, but I just don't have that knack like they do.
Right.
So I'm excited to, like I said, just go kind of out of character and look silly and talk silly and just be a different person.
What's your least favorite part about being an actress?
Probably being more of a, like, I don't want to be an extra anymore. That's like probably the least that I can think. Like, I just don't have any desire to do that anymore. I like action. I like playing parts. I like speaking. I've moved on past that. I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to waste 12 hours on set to be some little person in the background. And, it was great when I started out doing it because you get to learn a lot about being on set. It's a great experience, and I think it's a great way to start. But it's just something that I just don't want to do anymore. I want to move on to bigger things.
Right. I can understand that. I was an extra for one day. Like, it was on my bucket list. I want to be in a movie, not just like one of Jesse's movies, but in a feature with stars and stuff. So the talent group people downstairs are, they're my friends. So I said, get me on a movie, please. It's on my bucket list. Mm-hmm. So they got me in the Pickle movie.
Okay.
So I spent all day underdressed outside in the cold. Mm-hmm. And we did it we shot this one scene where there was 50 people in the shot. They shot it a bunch of different ways. And the most close-up shot, they didn't even have me in it. Mm-hmm. If I do end up in this movie, I am going to be in the movie for 1.5 seconds. And it's and I got a cold that day. After that, I was sick for a week. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but it was still on my bucket list. And if I don't get on that movie, if I don't show up, I'm going to do another one just so I can get on it.
Yeah.
But that was on my bucket list.
I think the last thing that I did, as an extra on a big film was the Unsinkable that they're filming here, and I don't even know if they ever finished it. It was about the Titanic.
Really?
Yeah, but I did a scene. It was that night was like a nightmare. So it was in, I think, November, and it was 20 degrees, and we had to do an outside scene, and I had worked my regular job that day. So I was up for 24 hours straight because I got up at 6, went to work, I had to report at 6 o'clock that night. We finished up at 5 o'clock the next morning, but it was freezing cold, and everything was just so confusing. I was supposed to be a first-class survivor, and so then they put the wig on me, and they did put dirt on me and all this stuff and makeup, and then they decide, nope, we're not doing that scene now. So now they were like, well, we're just going to leave you in this wig because we're not sure if we're going to end up using you for this or that or whatever. And then they had to take the makeup back off, and we were standing outside freezing to death in 20-degree weather, and I'm like, I don't even know. I think I would be in the scene, but be seen in it, but who knows? And that's just, again, not what I want to do.
I was really amazed at how many people that I knew that were extras there.
Yeah.
I guess there's, because I know one of the makeup artists that I work with, she's an extra. She was an extra in the shot. And, it was interesting that there's a little subculture, just I guess a lot of filmmakers do that as an extra kind of gig to bring in a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I think I made $76 that day.
I know that's the other thing. Like to be an extra on the big films, you have to do them during the week. And so I have to rearrange my work schedule. And it's just not worth it to me to make $80 when I can make, a lot more money
You
with my
made
business.
$80?
I made 80
Oh,
on
man.
12 hours, yeah.
I made 79. What the hell's this?
But yeah, it's just, like I said, I want something more. I'm ready for something more. And once you start getting speaking roles, you just don't want to go back to that.
That's understandable. So is there anything that we missed that you might inspiration that you might want to share with people?
I would just say, if acting is your dream, if it's your passion, then go for it. I mean, it's, we've all been there and done that. You started somewhere. You got to start from the bottom, work your way up. Just practice, watch other people, learn what you can. Just join the groups and, never give up on your dreams. If that's a dream of yours, go for it. Don't just be like, oh, I don't know if I can do it or not. Just give it a try because you never know what could happen.
That's good advice. How can people reach you if they want to? They were so impressed with you today that they want to hire you for a job, probably paying you thousands of dollars a day. How can they reach you?
Well, I mean, obviously, I can be reached on Facebook. Although if you send a friend request, I may or may not see it because I have about over 600 right now waiting for me to respond because I just stopped looking at them. It's overwhelming. You accept 1 or 2 friend requests and you start getting a bunch. And so I would say private message me because I check those private messages, or email. It's christina.chickis@verizon.net. I have an IMDb page. People can go on there and check it out and see what I've been on. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready and willing to go and like to keep busy and, like I said, keep my option open and try whatever roles I can. See what's a good fit for me.
That's awesome. I just have one more question. It's probably the most important question here is, who's your favorite sound guy?
You, of course.
Oh, yeah, good answer. Okay, thank you very much. This was great. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I'll probably see you in a couple weekends.
Probably.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. If you found us on our webpage, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. If you found us on iTunes or Spotify and you like the show, please leave a rating or review. And whatever you do, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again, and we'll be here next week with another episode.